Hi, everybody. I'm Karen. And I noticed as Jeanette and Frithjof were talking this morning, they so often reference examples from nature that we could use to inform our thinking about schooling for sustainability. So I thought I would continue that practice and talk with you about just one more. So I'm going to introduce a friend. And it's this little wild aster right here. This is a plant that's a great success story out on the Great Plains. This photo was taken in Ohio, not so far from Oberlin College, where David Orr speaks and teaches, and he'll be speaking to you later this afternoon. This plant is called the compass plant, and there's a reason for that name, and we're going to show you what it is. Here's a close-up, and here's my working model for the purposes of our presentation. Now, the compass plant is one of those late bloomers in the Great Prairie that kind of waits it out when all that really turbulent, violent prairie weather is going on. You know, the tornadoes, the golf ball-sized hail, the sudden floods, the thunderstorms. And that means, and it can do that because it has such a long and robust root system, one of the greatest of any wildflower anywhere in the world. But what that means, it has a very short season in order to get all the energy that it needs to carry it for the year. So it does a particular thing. It arranges its leaves on opposing sides of its stem. And it's called the compass plant because it orients itself north to south. If you walk through a field of these, you can always tell where north is because that's where the leaves are pointing. And for our purposes, we'll say north is towards this back wall, which it kind of is. Now here's the really interesting part. If I can find my prop, here we go. Pretend for a minute that this is the sun. And you might remember that the sun moves from east to west. This plant is positively heliotropic. You might remember that means it kind of leans into the sunlight, putting those north-south facing leaves towards the sun, and throughout the day, as the sun moves over, the plant follows it. If these leaves were oriented east to west, like the path of the sun, half of the plant would be in shade for the day, and this plant would never have been able to survive. But this northwest orientation, finding its own true north, allows it to become one of the great contributors to the fertility of the Great Plains. So you might say that some of schooling for sustainability has to do with changing your orientation. You know, it's the same plant, the same ecosystem, the same amount of sunlight, and the same level of soil fertility. But the difference might be going like that instead of like that. So let's, thanks.